Bedrock is one of the smartest business moves ever made. Mobile versions alone accumulated over 45% of the game's total revenue in 2021, but Bedrock now expands to Windows, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, Fire, and all other mobile versions, meaning Bedrock drives most sales for Microsoft and will only continue to grow. Although Bedrock is what most people know to be Minecraft, it didn't start this way. Bedrock isn't actually a specific version, and Mojang actually kinda just adopted the name because of the confusing system they made. But before we get into that, let's go to the start of how this huge project begun. The term Bedrock actually comes from the Bedrock codebase, which was created to run on platforms that can't support Java. Although different, 90% of code on all versions is shared, just being tweaked for facilities as networking and storage access, which is just some console code stuff. Anyways, this code was created all the way back in early 2011 to eventually get released as the alpha version on October 7th, 2011. Now, Android was set to release on September 29th, but due to some delays was released in October. And this was just the beginning, as then Mojang would release Minecraft iOS on November 17th the same year. Updates were released in parallel on the two versions. Mojang quickly introduced aspects like crafting, smelting, and game modes to really try to bring it closer to Java Edition. The Pocket Edition team worked hard, and for the most part, blocks were released on Java and PE at the same times, even testing new things on Pocket Edition before Java, such as beetroots. After about a year of the alpha phase, they expanded to more platforms, releasing for Fire on September 13th, 2012, and later Windows Phone on December 10th, 2014. Your more commonly known Windows 10 edition was released as beta on July 29th, 2015, which costed more than Pocket Edition, being $10 instead of the $7 price that the Pocket Edition had. The following year, on November 11, 2016, Pocket Edition was announced to be fully released with version 1.0 called the Ender Update, which came out on December 19, 2016. Remember, up until this point in time, Bedrock wasn't really generalized and grouped with one another. Each game was known as whatever console they were ran on rather than being all called Bedrock. But this would all change on September 20th, 2017.
This is Sparks. Hey, Sparks. Sparks built a togetherness machine. This machine holds the power to fuse many Minecrafts into one Minecraft. Or destroy the known universe. Ready, Sparks? Wow! And the universe didn't explode. So many Minecrafts are fused into one huge Minecraft. We can all play together on multiplayer servers with millions of consoles, PCs, and mobiles. Minecraft really is better together.
As this would be the release of version 1.2, also known as the Better Together update, which, if you don't know, was a monumental time in Minecraft history. Now Bedrock editions would no longer have the edition subtitle in them and would be renamed to simply Minecraft to try and help people understand specific isolated versions. More importantly than this, on Xbox a new version was released called Minecraft, with Minecraft Xbox One Edition being a totally different application. This was the first time ever that Mojang introduced cross-platform play, and it was a huge success, even eventually rolling out on Nintendo Switch on June 21st, 2018. PlayStation would take a little longer, but would eventually release on December 10th, 2019. Now at this time, Xbox One, mobile, VR, Windows 10, Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation would now all have Minecraft and could play with one another, but there was some loss. What is known as legacy console editions would be discontinued and almost forgotten about at this point. We would also see the Gear VR and Windows 10 Mobile discontinued in October 2020, and then Fire TV Edition in June 2021. This was mainly to do with each platform not having as many users as others, and with the new Better Together update, they were receiving a lot more traction in terms of sales, so they decided to pull the plug on updating these platforms. From this point, Bedrock would be updated as much as possible, and Mojang really just put their head down to make Bedrock just as functional as Java Edition, as Bedrock accounted for over 7 different console types at this point, meaning a lot more work. Bedrock, or just Minecraft, has been developed constantly to the game we know today and is pretty much equal in features with Java, which is kind of insane to think about. But did you know one of the biggest and most known games started out as merely a throwaway all the way back in 2011? Now that you understand the history and come up of how Bedrock became the biggest game ever, let's discuss the genius of this idea and how it paid off for Mojang. In an article published by March Davies on February 12, 2016, it was revealed that Pocket Edition was just an experiment by a coder named Aaron Nieminen. He threw together the most minimal Minecrafty features he could to create a mobile form of the game, which was all put together in 3 months. Remember, the first ever Minecraft release took over 2 years to develop and be published. Aaron said it wasn't even supposed to have multiplayer at first, and the first internal version only had an ASCII renderer. But despite being an experiment, in December 2013, Pocket Edition alone sold 16.5 million copies, with Java Edition selling only 13 million that same time. Pocket Edition had outsold both Java and Legacy Console Edition despite being the least developed at the time, and wouldn't even come out fully until November of 2016, almost 3 years later. But speaking of the release date, about a month after it was fully released, Marsh Davies announced that Pocket Edition sold over 40 million copies, which included Windows 10 Edition and Gear VR, but even with that, again, Java only sold 24 million copies at this time. This trend would continue even today, as Minecraft is usually in the top 10 and regularly number 1 in the Apple and Google Play stores in the paid apps section. And taking a look at recent revenue charts, mobile versions took in an approximately 45% of all revenue in 2021. As Minecraft finally hit over 300 million copies sold this last year, following the upwards trends of Bedrock, it's safe to assume that over 50% of these are now on Bedrock. Today, you actually can't even purchase Minecraft without purchasing a copy of Bedrock, as if you go to Minecraft.net, Java Edition and Bedrock are sold together as a bundle. This costs $30, as well as the Nintendo Switch version. Chrome OS, Xbox, and PlayStation all cost $20, and Android, iOS, iPadOS, and Fire, still at the lowest price, cost $7, the exact same amount as it did over 13 years ago. You might ask yourself, how would this come to light? How would this decision to group all these consoles together come together? Well, although never really talked about publicly, there is some speculation on what went through the devs' heads. First off, taking a look at the first developments of Pocket Edition, Java couldn't be an option because of how the code works, which I talked about earlier, which is why they had to use different code to more suit the platforms that weren't PC. Since Mojang had been developing on this code, when console editions were released on May 9th, 2012, all they had to do was alter just a little of the base code that was Pocket Edition. This really helped Mojang eventually, because as all the games were coded on the same language, importing them all into one mega server, in more basic terms, was really easy. Looking at allowing players from all the different consoles to play together has always been something that is wanted by people. One of the main issues with having an Xbox or PlayStation is the fact that you couldn't play with the other console. Now this is a lot less problematic, but back then was pretty much unheard of. So Minecraft releasing a cross-platform edition originally as Realms was huge for gaming culture as a whole, even being one of the first games to introduce mobile cross-platform. To kind of give you an idea of how new this technology was, in an FAQ about the update, Mojang confirmed the eventual release of Nintendo Switch, saying they had partnered with Nintendo already, but cross-device connectivity was unprecedented in this point of time, stating it introduces lots of complexities to the development process. Obviously, we know this to be true as the Switch wouldn't see this update until a little under a year later, but even though they could partner with Nintendo, PlayStation was on the fence about it, stating, "We are still in discussions with Sony about PlayStation and have nothing to confirm." A tweet from user at Jez Corden said, "Cross-platform Minecraft, yes to Nintendo Switch, PlayStation refused." This, although never confirmed by Sony, was due to them being the market leader and them not gaining anything from cross-platform. This issue continued years later and really only was overturned when they refused Fortnite crossplay, which led to Sony eventually coming to an agreement of getting paid a royalty whenever PlayStation players contributed more than a certain percentage to the bottom line of a cross-platform game. Although a fork in the road, we also now know that PlayStation would get the cross-platform update in late 2019, which once again helped Mojang's Minecraft to expand itself as the most dominant game ever in sales. Today, the most common feud with Bedrock is obviously its predecessor Java, which is the classic Minecraft debate. They differ in a variety of ways, with Bedrock having more saturated graphics, different terrain generation, some exclusive items, and an official add-on system, just to name a few. Java Edition, although kind of isolated from other versions, still holds the second largest individual platform sales. Java tends to take better hardware to run, which is due to the game being more demanding because of a lot of the performance-based backend stuff to make the game feel smoother. Java also has a lot more customization, being able to import custom texture packs, mods, and so much more. I personally like Java more because it's what I grew up on, and I just like the feel of the game a lot more than Bedrock, as to me it feels chunky. But I also can't deny the genius of Bedrock and how big the version of the game has grown. When I started playing Minecraft, Bedrock wasn't a name associated with the game. Now it's what most people play on, and they don't even know there is a different Minecraft version. But whether you play on Java or Bedrock or both, Minecraft is a game that everyone can enjoy in some way. Bedrock will more than likely continue to take the crown as the biggest subversion of the game, but I don't think Java is going anywhere. To think that the biggest game ever would get there just by a random experiment from some smart dude named Aaron Nemany. That this one development would be responsible for over 150+ million copies sold, generating an amount of money that is unfathomable to most people. That an edition that was released kind of as a throwaway to be overlooked would quickly outsell their main projects and really keep the game going strong years later. Funny how one person's idea or test like Aaron Nemany could lead up to one of the biggest projects known to the world. So next time you load up Bedrock, just remember the reason why the game exists is from one man's crazy genius.